This political miscalculation gave Cleopatra the opening she needed. Cleopatra embraced her role as the protector of Egypt from the moment she became queen. Cleopatra's education was exceptional, a country rich in resources yet vulnerable to external threats. Cleopatra VII. The name conjures images of beauty, seduction, and power. Yet Cleopatra's true legacy extends far beyond these superficial associations. She was not just a symbol of allure or romance. Cleopatra was one of the most cunning, intelligent, and ambitious rulers in ancient history. She ruled Egypt during a period of immense political turbulence in the Mediterranean, as the Roman Republic transitioned into an empire. Cleopatra's reign was defined by her determined quest to preserve Egypt's sovereignty and her strategic efforts to secure her dynasty through powerful alliances with some of Rome's most influential leaders. The political backdrop of Cleopatra's rule was dominated by the looming presence of Rome. At the time, the Roman Republic was evolving into an empire, extending its influence across much of the Mediterranean. Egypt, rich and strategically positioned, faced growing vulnerability under the expanding Roman shadow. Cleopatra understood that leading Egypt wasn't merely about maintaining domestic stability. It required deftly navigating external pressures from the rapidly growing superpower. Her awareness of this complex geopolitical landscape set her apart from her predecessors. When Cleopatra ascended to the throne, Egypt had already been weakened by years of ineffective rulers and increasing reliance on Roman military and financial support. Though Egypt remained wealthy due to its fertile lands and vital trade routes, it had become largely dependent on Rome for protection from its enemies. Cleopatra realized that to safeguard Egypt's independence, she needed to skillfully manage her relationship with the Roman Republic, which was expanding its dominance across the Mediterranean. Although Cleopatra's relationships with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony often overshadow her political achievements, it's crucial to recognize that she was primarily a ruler devoted to her nation's interests. Cleopatra embraced her role as the protector of Egypt from the moment she became queen. Her reign unfolded during the twilight years of the Ptolemaic Dynasty, which had ruled Egypt for nearly 3 centuries. It was Cleopatra's strategic brilliance and resilience that prolonged Egypt's independence as long as it did. Her story is not merely one of romance and tragedy. It is the tale of a queen fighting to preserve her kingdom amid overwhelming odds. Cleopatra was a master of public image, understanding the power of perception. She portrayed herself as the embodiment of the goddess Isis, not only as a divine ruler, but also as a symbol of the East's grandeur and opulence. This carefully crafted persona allowed her to command attention in the male-dominated realm of Roman politics. Her intelligence, charm, and allure made her a figure of fascination in Roman society, where powerful women were often viewed with suspicion. But Cleopatra was much more than a figurehead or a political pawn. She was a strategic thinker who shaped the course of history. Her alliances with Caesar and later Mark Antony were not simply romantic. They were calculated moves to secure Egypt's survival. At the heart of Cleopatra's political maneuvers was her deep understanding of power. She knew Egypt could not stand against Rome in battle, so she sought to influence Roman politics from within. Her relationships with Caesar and Antony were part of her broader strategy to secure Egypt's future under the shadow of the Roman Empire. Cleopatra's diplomacy, intelligence, and wit helped her navigate the treacherous political currents of Rome. She understood the significance of controlling her image not only within Egypt, but also abroad, presenting herself as a powerful, legitimate, and divine ruler. Cleopatra's efforts to protect Egypt's sovereignty were fraught with challenges. The Roman world was tumultuous, marked by constant power struggles among its leaders. Cleopatra's strategic alliances with Caesar and Antony placed her in the crossfire of Rome's internal conflicts. After Caesar's assassination, Cleopatra found herself in an even more precarious position, forced to navigate the shifting political landscape of Rome. Ultimately, her alliance with Antony would lead to her tragic downfall, but at the time, it was a necessary step to protect Egypt from Roman encroachment. Cleopatra was born in 69 BCE in Alexandria, Egypt's cultural heart, and one of the most vibrant cities in the Mediterranean. Founded by Alexander the Great, Alexandria was a cosmopolitan hub where Greek, Egyptian, and Roman cultures intermingled. The city was also home to the famous Library of Alexandria, a symbol of learning and intellectual prowess. Cleopatra's family, the Ptolemaic dynasty, traced its lineage back to Ptolemy Soter, one of Alexander's generals who established his rule over Egypt after Alexander's death. Though Greek in origin, the Ptolemies had ruled Egypt by blending Greek and Egyptian traditions for nearly 300 years by the time of Cleopatra's birth. While the Ptolemies were foreign rulers, they adopted many aspects of Egyptian culture to legitimize their reign. This balance between their Greek heritage and their role as pharaohs of Egypt was something Cleopatra mastered. From a young age, she understood the importance of blending these two cultures to maintain the loyalty of her people while securing powerful alliances abroad. Cleopatra was born into a royal family torn apart by rivalries and internal power struggles. The Ptolemies were notorious for sibling marriages, betrayals, and even murders within the family. Cleopatra's father, Ptolemy XV, had relied heavily on Roman support to keep his throne, a dependence that would later prove both advantageous and problematic for Cleopatra. His reign was marked by corruption and instability, and at one point, he was exiled after a revolt in Alexandria. Cleopatra, who witnessed this turmoil, learned early on the importance of securing alliances and the dangers of relying too much on foreign powers. Cleopatra's education was exceptional, especially for a woman of her time. She was fluent in multiple languages, including Greek, Latin, and Egyptian, making her one of the most linguistically talented rulers in history. Unlike her predecessors, Cleopatra made a concerted effort to learn Egyptian, which endeared her to the people. By speaking their language, she was able to position herself as a legitimate pharaoh who understood and respected the traditions of her subjects. Beyond her linguistic skills, Cleopatra was well educated in literature, philosophy, mathematics, and astronomy. The intellectual climate of Alexandria, which attracted scholars from around the world, greatly influenced her education. Cleopatra's studies were not merely academic. They were a foundation for understanding power and how to wield it. Her extensive education prepared her for the challenges of ruling a land as complex as Egypt, a country rich in resources yet vulnerable to external threats. Cleopatra grew up surrounded by the intellectual and cultural richness of Alexandria, a city that was not only a center of learning, but also a hub of international trade. She would have been exposed to various political ideas, philosophies, and customs from different parts of the Mediterranean. These experiences shaped her worldview and prepared her to navigate the complexities of both Egyptian and Roman politics. Cleopatra was known for her intelligence and curiosity, traits that would serve her well as she matured into a ruler. However, her upbringing was not without challenges. The Ptolemaic dynasty was rife with internal strife. Her father's reliance on Rome and the instability of his reign deeply impacted Cleopatra's understanding of the fragility of power. The constant presence of Roman influence in Egypt was a reminder that Egypt's fate was tied to its relationship with Rome. Cleopatra would spend her reign carefully managing this delicate balance. The Ptolemies' infamous internal rivalries were no different in Cleopatra's generation. The practice of sibling marriage and power struggles shaped her early life. Cleopatra's rise to power was marked by conflict with her younger brother, Ptolemy XIII. From a young age, Cleopatra understood that power was not inherited. It was seized. Her early experiences shaped her into a ruler who was not only intelligent, but also pragmatic and ruthless when necessary. When Cleopatra's father, Ptolemy XV, died in 51 BCE, the throne passed to Cleopatra and her younger brother, Ptolemy XV. According to Ptolemaic tradition, the siblings were married to consolidate power, but their partnership was troubled from the start. Cleopatra, then 18, had been groomed for leadership and understood the complexities of ruling, while her brother was only 10 years old. Cleopatra had no intention of letting him or his advisors control her reign. From the moment she ascended to the throne, Cleopatra sought to assert her authority as the dominant ruler. This quickly put her at odds with her brother's regent, Pothinus, and his advisors, who viewed Cleopatra as a threat to their influence. Tensions escalated into an open power struggle, with Cleopatra determined to rule Egypt independently. Cleopatra's strength lay in her ability to gain the loyalty of her people. Unlike previous rulers in her dynasty, she embraced Egyptian culture and presented herself as an Egyptian ruler rather than a Greek outsider. Despite Cleopatra's popularity with the people, Pothinus and his allies sought to oust her from power. In 48 BCE, they staged a coup, forcing Cleopatra to flee to Syria. This marked a turning point in her reign, as Cleopatra recognized that she could not reclaim her throne without external support. She needed an ally, and she knew that Rome held the key to her return to power. At that time, the Roman Republic was embroiled in a civil war between Julius Caesar and Pompey the Great. Cleopatra, a keen strategist, saw an opportunity. If she could secure an alliance with Caesar, it could bolster her claim to the throne and strengthen her position in Egypt. In 48 BCE, after Pompey's defeat at the Battle of Pharsalus, he fled to Egypt seeking refuge, but was betrayed and killed by Ptolemy XIII's advisors in an attempt to curry favor with Caesar. When Caesar arrived in Alexandria and was presented with Pompey's severed head, he was horrified. This political miscalculation gave Cleopatra the opening she needed. According to legend, she arranged to be smuggled into Caesar's quarters wrapped in a carpet, which was delivered to him as a gift. When the carpet was unrolled, Cleopatra revealed herself, captivating Caesar with her intelligence and charm. Whether this story is entirely true remains debated, but what is certain is that Cleopatra's bold move won Caesar's favor. With Caesar's backing, Cleopatra returned to Alexandria, ready to reclaim her throne. The struggle for power between Cleopatra and her brother escalated into a civil war, with Caesar's presence tipping the scales in her favor. The conflict culminated in the Battle of the Nile in 47 BCE, where Caesar's forces defeated Ptolemy XIII's army. Ptolemy XIII drowned while attempting to escape, leaving Cleopatra as the undisputed ruler of Egypt. To maintain political stability, Cleopatra married her even younger brother Ptolemy XIII, although she remained the true authority behind the throne. With Caesar's support, Cleopatra was able to consolidate her power. Her reign entered a period of relative stability and prosperity as she focused on strengthening Egypt's economy and securing its independence from Rome. Cleopatra's relationship with Julius Caesar was both a personal and political partnership. Shortly after their alliance in Alexandria, they became lovers, and their relationship would shape Cleopatra's reign for the next several years. In 47 BCE, Cleopatra gave birth to a son, Ptolemy Caesar, more commonly known as Caesarion, meaning Little Caesar. Cleopatra had grand ambitions for Caesarion, envisioning him as the heir to both Egypt and Rome, a ruler who could unite the two most powerful states in the Mediterranean. For Cleopatra, her relationship with Caesar was not just a romantic affair. It was a crucial political alliance that provided her with the support she needed to secure her reign. With Caesar's backing, Cleopatra was able to eliminate potential rivals and maintain Egypt's independence amidst Rome's expansion. However, her ambitions for Caesarion and her influence over Caesar placed her in a precarious position within Roman politics. In 46 BCE, Cleopatra traveled to Rome at Caesar's invitation, staying as his guest in one of his lavish estates. Her presence in Rome caused a sensation. Cleopatra, with her exotic beauty, regal bearing, and immense wealth, captivated the Roman public. She symbolized the luxury and sophistication of the East, and her presence sparked widespread intrigue and gossip. Cleopatra's time in Rome was marked by both success and controversy. Caesar treated her with great honor, even erecting a golden statue of her in the Temple of Venus Genetrix, a gesture that symbolized her importance as both his lover and political ally. However, Cleopatra's presence in Rome also highlighted the growing tensions between Caesar and the Roman Senate. Many senators viewed Cleopatra with suspicion, seeing her as a foreign queen who had seduced Caesar and threatened traditional Roman values. Cleopatra's influence over Caesar was seen as a sign of his growing power, a perception that fueled animosity between Caesar and the Roman elite. Despite the scandal surrounding her stay in Rome, Cleopatra remained focused on securing Egypt's future. During her time in the city, she forged important political connections and deepened her alliance with Caesar. However, Cleopatra's plans were upended by Caesar's assassination in 44 BCE. His death plunged Rome into chaos, and Cleopatra's position became increasingly uncertain as new power struggles emerged in the Roman Republic. Cleopatra's legacy extends far beyond her time as Egypt's last pharaoh, living on as a symbol of power, beauty, and intrigue in art, literature, and modern culture. For centuries, she has been reimagined and immortalized, becoming one of history's most famous figures. Although Roman propaganda initially painted Cleopatra as a manipulative seductress, modern scholars recognize her as a highly skilled diplomat and strategist who sought to preserve Egypt's independence in the face of Rome's expansion. In the arts, Cleopatra has been a subject of fascination for generations. Renaissance painters often depicted her dramatic death, emphasizing both her beauty and her determination in the face of defeat. Through the centuries, artists such as Jean-Léon Gérôme and others continued to explore Cleopatra's complex persona, portraying her as a figure of both power and sensuality. Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra, written in the early 17th century, also cemented her image in Western literature as a tragic yet grand character whose decisions influenced the fate of empires. The 20th century saw Cleopatra's rise as a Hollywood icon, with the 1963 film Cleopatra, starring Elizabeth Taylor, shaping modern perceptions of the Egyptian queen. Taylor's portrayal emphasized Cleopatra's glamour and command, turning her into a symbol of beauty, charisma, and political power. Despite the film's romantic focus on Cleopatra's relationships with Caesar and Antony, it also highlighted her ambition and her determination to protect Egypt. Her image, once confined to ancient history, became a global cultural phenomenon, admired for its mix of strength and allure. In more recent years, scholars and feminists have reclaimed Cleopatra's narrative, emphasizing her intelligence, leadership, and resilience rather than reducing her to her romantic liaisons. Historians have reframed Cleopatra as a brilliant ruler who navigated the complexities of international politics, using her alliances with powerful Roman figures not simply for love, but as part of a strategic plan to safeguard her kingdom. This shift in perspective has led to a more nuanced understanding of Cleopatra as a woman who wielded significant political power in a male-dominated world. Cleopatra remains an enduring figure, representing female leadership, ambition, and complexity. Her story continues to inspire discussions about gender, power, and historical memory. Even centuries after her death, Cleopatra's life serves as a reminder of the lasting impact one individual can have on history and culture.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like, share, and subscribe to History Portal for more historical stories.